United USA. Well, when you take a closer look at this bipartisan infrastructure bill, it has little to do with actual infrastructure.
Benefits to cover dental and other expansion. Chris, as part of these budget deals, essentially
Let's pause that right there just to take a look at what we see. Ports and waterways for infrastructure, 16 billion. Infrastructure for financing, 20 billion. Water infrastructure, 55 billion. Broadband infrastructure, 65 billion. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, when they say broadband infrastructure, they're talking about 5G. Okay, let's continue.
Democrats want to expand Medicare benefits to cover dental and
environmental remediation, power infrastructure, and Western water storage and resilience. Okay, well, all right. These, this is very vague explanations. Environmental remediation, 21 billion. That can mean a lot of different things. I'm going to have to really go in detail on this another time. Power infrastructure. Incline grid authority. Okay, 73 billion. Yeah, well, the power grid is going to need a lot more than $73 billion nationwide for all 50 states. So that is bull. So they're talking about $1 trillion and less than 10% is going to go to the power grid? Dude. Western water sewage resilience. Okay, let's go ahead and see.
And other expansions essentially in healthcare.
Basically, what I'm saying is these explanations are very vague, and they could be, I mean, when they say Western water storage, obviously we see what that is. It's self-explanatory, water storage. But when they talk about environmental remediation, that can be, these other things that you're going to see in the bill, you'll see redundancies where it's like, where is that money really going? And like I said, 73 billion, that's less than 10% of this bill. They want $1 trillion, less than 10% of it's going to go to the power grid. All of it should be going to the power grid. Forget everything else. Water, sewage, bridge. Okay, all right. Let's do 20% to the bridges and sewer and water systems. Maybe 20-30%, and let's give 70%, 700 billion. I mean, it should be 10 times what it is for the infrastructure for the power.
And it is, as your note even suggested, incredibly costly to make some of these healthcare provisions or long drawn out. And
I think that's
blah, 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 blah.
It's been an ongoing. That's why we're seeing these forcing.
Okay, as you guys can see, it's basically a bunch of nonsense where they're just, regurgitating kind of that propaganda over and over again. The reason I wanted to make this video is because here's a prime example of the government has known for years that they need to back up the power grid. And here's an example where they're actually trying to push through an outrageous amount of money, $1 trillion. And yet you see right here, less than 10% of this $1 trillion is going to the power grid infrastructure to protect and back up. God forbid something happens. But no, they don't care about us. They're trying to find a reason to put 100 other things into these bills that have nothing to do with the actual infrastructure that they claim to say they're promoting. Just like the CARES Act, COVID-19, they said, oh yeah, well this is for COVID-19. Well, only 9% of that last bill that the Biden administration did, only 9% of it was actually for COVID relief. You got to ask yourself, 91%? So where did 91% of that money go? Well, I've done videos on this before. You guys can check it out. You can do some simple Google searches and see for yourself. But as far as the power grid being protected, it's absolutely priority number one. I mean, if we lose power, that means water, that means ATMs, grocery, transportation. We won't be able to buy anything. Gas stations, stores will come to a halt. Banks will come to a halt. Our money, everything frozen, locked up. Food in your refrigerator will go bad within days before you got to live on rice and beans and pasta and whatever. Ramen noodles style. It's come to a point where people need to realize that the power grid is number one, and our government just doesn't seem to recognize that simple fact. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Hit me up and let me know what you think.